righty, wait another minute. I think it is 6 o'clock, so we are going to get started. Welcome everyone to our presentation from the counseling department for the 9th grade and 10th grade parents. And our topic tonight is navigating the high school experience. So we are going to, I'll let the counselors introduce themselves, but we do have counselors here who are, obviously, we've talked about this before, everybody is assigned based on last names. So Amber and Julie and Brittany will let you know which group of students they are working with when their time comes. But we will get started. I'm going to share my screen. And if you have questions, you can certainly put your questions in the chat, and we will bring the chat up so that we can try and respond to those. All righty. So as I said, my name's Heidi Levitt, and I'm the Director of School Counseling here at the high school. And we have all of the counseling team here on the call with us, and they will be able to answer some questions that you have along the way. So let's get started. So school counseling today, I'm going to age myself, but it is definitely not the school counseling or the guidance counseling of the 80s and 90s. I think when I went to high school, I don't remember ever meeting my school counselor. I remember dropping off paperwork in the counseling office. It was this strange place in the middle of the school that some people went to, but most people didn't. And somehow I managed to make it to college. I don't remember asking for any help. And somehow all of my documents got sent there. So it's definitely very different. We like to say nowadays that the school counseling office of today's day is the heart of the school. Everything seems to kind of move through here. We do a lot for your students. We manage 504s, which are student education plans. We help students with academic planning. We do college and career planning. We support the internship program and connect things that we have done on the college and career planning and the inventories and assessments that we do with kids, and help Mrs. Alley figure out what might be the best spot for kids. And we do a lot of social and emotional support. We help kids find resources. Our goal is for every student to find what's the best path for them. How are they going to get there? Some kids, we like to say, follow a straight arrow path to where they're going, and other kids have a much more windy path. I think if you asked any of us here on the counseling team, how did we get to where we are today? I can 100% guarantee that I was not planning on sitting in a high school counseling office all of my life when I left high school. But here I am after 25 years, and I love it every single day doing what I do. So we help kids find their path, and it is definitely going to look very different for every student. One thing I did want to talk about, going back to the social emotional support and those resources, especially here at the high school level, that level of confidentiality is super important for our kids. We let them know that we're a place that they can come, they can talk, they can vent, they can get things off their chest, and they don't have to worry about us letting other folks know what's going on for them. However, as parents, that would be terrifying for you to hear. So I have to assure you that if your child is in need of some help, if we're concerned for your child's safety, if we're concerned that you need to be involved in a decision that they're making, we are 100% going to reach out to you and let you know and talk with you about what's going on with them. Absolutely, we respect and understand that you are the person who's most important in their life, and we will keep you involved in those conversations. And oftentimes we will coach students to have those difficult conversations with parents, but we have a balancing act that we have to maintain that confidentiality so that they feel like they can trust us and that they can come to us when they're dealing with difficult topics, but also knowing that we are going to help guide them into the best places to help them make those really difficult decisions that they're faced with when they're in high school. So what happens in the school counseling office? We do a lot of, we attack our goals through a lot of different venues. So we are in classrooms. This current week, the last couple of weeks rather, we have been in freshman and sophomore classes working on career assessments and inventories, and Brittany's going to talk a little bit about that in a bit. We meet with kids in small groups. So we have some anxiety groups, we have social skills groups that we work with students. We also have a lot of one-to-one meetings, so kids can schedule time with the school counselor to come in and talk about whatever's on their mind, any number of those topics that we just talked about in the previous slide. We help students with transcripts. We help kids with understanding that grade to GPA conversion. We help them with the graduation requirements. And we use a lot of those different tools to help them navigate all of this. The program of studies, our school handbook, SCOIR, which is our college and career planning tool, and we will talk about that in a little bit, and a number of different assessments, everything from the ASVAB to SATs and ACTs and APs, and we're going to talk about what all those acronyms stand for as well. So there's a lot going on up here in the counseling office. As I said, the school counselors are in classrooms at least once per semester, and the topics vary depending on the grade. So for instance, in a couple of weeks, the freshmen will have an opportunity to hear a presentation about the signs of suicide. We'll be reaching out to parents to talk about what that's going to look like soon. We are in classrooms doing career assessments and talking about course selection. We meet in small groups. So at the beginning of the year, the counselors were holding college labs. So students could sign up and look at different colleges. They could talk about careers that they might be interested in and do some career planning. And we're also in for advisory curriculum. So we might be in doing a lesson on executive function skills, or again, that course selection. We also help provide the teachers with an advisory curriculum. So some of that social emotional learning, we create lesson plans and offer that out to the teachers so that they can have an opportunity to do those kinds of lessons with their students. And as we said, school counselors schedule meetings with kids one-on-one to have all kinds of different discussions.
So hi, I'm Amber Miller, and I work with students whose last names are G through M. I may have had conversations with some of you, but we'll be having more as your students go through the school. So what we've really been working on a lot is reviewing the transcripts with the students. And this is one of the activities that we've done in the career planning with the freshmen and sophomores, just to get them familiarized with it. And basically what a transcript is a document that helps a counselor, an administrator, a parent, or some other entity. So whether that be college, a trade school, a certificate program, a job, anything like that. It is a record of the academic track record of that student. So a transcript will include a GPA, grades for the classes that they have already completed, credits that they received for those classes, course history, and their class rank. And so class rank is something that is calculated at the end of every school year. So your freshmen won't have a class rank until the end of this year, and your sophomores their class rank is currently based on the end of their freshman year. So those will change as they progress through high school. And the weighting is different depending on the level of class and things like that. So a transcript can be used for college applications, trade schools, some volunteer programs and scholarships or jobs want to see them, just so that they know that the student is in good academic standing. One of the cool things that a transcript can be used for is the good driver discount. So if students have a certain GPA or certain grades, they can bring this transcript to their insurance companies and get a discount on their car insurance. And so this is just an example of what our transcript looks like. So this is a current junior. So at the top, on the top right corner, you'll see the credits that they've been awarded for both freshman and sophomore year. So this is the total credits. And then the total credits attempted, their current GPA, and we have been using, so that's weighted and unweighted. And so as you see, there's 3 different columns. So there's the course, and then there's the year score, the credits awarded, the credits possible. Credits possible are the number of credits that the student could have gotten in that class, and the credits awarded are what they actually got. So as you can see, this student took and passed all of the classes, so the credits awarded match the credits possible. If a student withdrew from a class or failed a class, that might look a little differently, and the credits awarded might be a 0. So Heidi is going to talk a little bit more about this, because this is something that is a little bit updated for this year.
Yep. So in years past, we had made the transition from a 100-point scale to a 4.0 scale. And so the chart that's at the top there represents grades that were prior to this upcoming school year. So when a student receives a 4.0 in a course grade for any year prior to this year up to and including this school year, that a 4.0 or 3.9, it would have been entered onto the transcript as a 4.3 if it was in a CP class. And if it had been an honors class, it would have had a half a point bump. And if it was in a dual enrollment or an AP class, it would have had 1 full bump. We have now transitioned out of having students who have had that 100-point scale. So now we can have a more, it's real transparent look at what a student's GPA would be. And so I think it's easier to understand. So if a student receives a 4.0 in a class, in a CP class, they will receive a 4.0 on their transcript, and the extra weighting for the honors or the dual enrollment will appear as either a 4.5 for that extra 0.5 weight, or the 1 full extra point would enter it as a 5.0. Our class rank is based on that cumulative weighted GPA. All right, I'm going to send this back to Amber.
So these are the graduation requirements for Sanborn. As the parents of freshmen and sophomores, you want to pay attention to class of 2024 and class of 2025. So for English, we require 4 credits. Your students are going to be required to have 4.5, but the English lab and the math lab that they are currently enrolled in this year will count as that extra half credit. A fine or a performing art, they need 1 credit. And so a performing art is anything that produces a performance. So that could be art class, music, drama, and at Sanborn, like woodworking can count as an art class if they don't take a standard art class. For health, specifically health, it's a half a credit. And then for PE, it's 1 full credit. So one of those half credits is typically taken with health, and then they would need another half a credit. Math, so that's the 4.5 that I was talking about with English. They're in a math lab now also, and so that's going to count as that other half a credit. And there are 4 math credits required for graduation, but for senior year, that can be a math experience. So it doesn't have to be like a pre-calc or a stats. It could be something like the aviation class or like our financial skills class. Science, we require 3 credits. 2 of those required credits are physical science and biology. And those are courses that the students will take physical science freshman year and then biology sophomore year. And then after that, they can choose their third science. Social studies is 3 requirements also. And so global studies they'll take as freshmen. Your Gov and Your Money is the civics and economics class that the sophomores take. And then American history is what they take as juniors. And these requirements are not limits, they're just the minimums. So technology at Sanborn, we require 1 credit, and it has to specifically be a computer-based technology. So on some of the transcripts, you'll see things like trans power tech or like building construction and tech. Those do not count as a technology class. It needs to be like tech for the 21st century or like modern media or Google apps. Those are computer-based technology. In our program of studies, it's under business technology. And then advisory, it's going to change from being an elective to a requirement. And right now, students are earning 0.25 credits annually. And for your students, the requirements are going to be less than the 1 because it wasn't required. And then electives make up the remainder. So your students so the sophomores are going to require 26, sorry, the bottom of my screen went away, 26 credits, and the freshmen will require 24 credits to graduate. Currently, right now, it's 28 credits to graduate. So that brings us to our diploma options. So the standard diploma are what I just talked about, 24 for the freshmen and 26 for the sophomores. And that's just kind of based on what classes they've already taken and how much will be allowed in their schedule, because we're changing from 8 classes to 6 for next year. So one of the main things that's going to be changing for your students is the diploma with distinction. Right now, it's 32 credits, but with a 6 class period schedule, that 32 credits is not possible. So 30 credits is going to be for the class of 2023, and it's still to be determined for the class of 2024 and 2025. But there is a committee that's currently meeting to determine those requirements. And then also, in order to get this diploma with distinction, you need to meet that credit requirement and also have one of the following. So New Hampshire Scholars, which I'll talk about on the next slide, or a specific GPA. So that's magna cum laude or summa cum laude. And those are for magna cum laude is a 3.3 or higher, and summa cum laude is a 3.9 or higher. And so New Hampshire Scholars is part of that diploma with distinction. So New Hampshire Scholars for minimum requirements is 4 credits of English, 4 credits of math, and the math has to include Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. The science, and the 4th credit of math can be a math experience or a math. It just has to fulfill that math requirement. And then lab sciences, it's a little bit more flexible, but it does require 3. So we determine which science classes count toward New Hampshire Scholars, but it has to be determined to be a lab science by Sanborn. And then social studies, this is usually, or social science, my bad. This is where some of our students kind of miss out on this because only 3 credits of social studies is required at Sanborn, but New Hampshire Scholars requires 3.5. So on top of the 3 requirements for Sanborn, they would need to take something like a psychology or a sociology or something that falls into that criteria. And then foreign language, it's 2 credits of a foreign language. However, this is not the case for the career pathway. So it is in order to get minimum for arts and the STEM pathway. So the arts pathway is for students who meet the minimum requirements and then also have 2 credits of art and a minimum of 3.2 for their GPA. And then STEM would require a 4th lab science and another STEM related course. So that could be any science, technology, engineering, or math class. And they must also have a 3.2 GPA. And in this slide, there's a link that you'll be able to click on in order to see the New Hampshire Scholars website. And it's a summary pretty much of what I was just talking about on that slide. And then the career pathway does not require the language and does not require a GPA minimum. The students just need to end up with something career related at the end of their 4 years. So Brittany will talk a little bit more about this, but things like internship will count towards this, or ELOs can count towards it. There are a lot of opportunities in order to meet that career requirement if students are looking for it. And Julie will talk to you more about the resources that we have available in the counseling office and how you can access all of these things.
Julie, just before you start, I just want to point out that this website, if you have an opportunity to go on and click around in it, it really is pretty comprehensive. It talks a lot about the programs and the course of studies and the pathways for New Hampshire Scholars. But when you click on the resources tab in the college and career, there's a lot of links here. So if your student is interested in playing sports in college, there's the link for NCAA, which talks about that process and how to become a D1 or D2 athlete. There's information on here about scholarships, and the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation just opened up their scholarship process, and they announced that they're going to be giving $7 million in scholarships to New Hampshire students, only New Hampshire students. The New Hampshire 93 is another great scholarship program. There's things on here around jobs and finding jobs, and how do you, the ONET Center is career interest inventories, and there's information on here about career planning. So it's pretty comprehensive. If you have an opportunity to look at the website, it does provide a lot of great resources for parents and kids to spark some really good conversations. Right, Julie?
All right, so I'm Julie. I have the letters N through Z. So the program of studies it just got posted about 2 weeks ago, and it has all of our classes that we offer and what prerequisites you need for them and what requirements they fulfill. And the handbook, I think every high school student gets a handbook. It's just, it has all the rules and everything that you're expected to follow, and the policies and procedures that we expect you to follow and us to follow. And the school profile, it is, it just gives a little bit of information about the school, where we are, what we do, and all of that type of stuff. And it's also something we put in our college applications when we send those out. It's just a little information about who we are, what we do, and all of that. And they can all be found on the high school counseling web pages.
And we'll post this this presentation, as well as having the YouTube live link. So you will be able to click on all of these links when you see the presentation posted on the counseling website.
And SCOIR. SCOIR is our it's our platform that we use for the college applications. It is everything we send to colleges goes through SCOIR, all your documents, your transcripts, your letters of recommendation, all of that. We have our part, and the students have their part, as well as the parents can also have access to it. It's an invite that's sent out, I think it's junior year, to help set it up and get everything up and running. There's career interest activities on there to help like the freshmen and the sophomores to figure out what may intrigue them versus what doesn't intrigue them. And
Go ahead.
sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
I feel like, is this Brittany? Is this supposed to be you?
This is me, Julie.
Okay, I'm just like looking at the slides going,
So I'm Brittany Lombardo. I have the beginning of the alphabet, so A through F. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the stuff that we're currently doing and what we're going to be looking into doing in the next couple of weeks. So right now with your students, we are working in their math lab, doing some career exploration. So the kids always kind of look at us a little funny, being like, I'm only a freshman. Why am I talking about what I'm doing after high school? I've got plenty of time, and we can't emphasize enough that, you know, it's going to be gone before they know it. And so we start the career process in 9th grade. And it's something that is built upon. So the sophomores had a career activity that they did last year. And so what we're doing with that is we're just working with what they have and building on it. So it's really all about kind of creating a portfolio, which is digital on their Google Drive. So not all of them, but most 9th and 10th graders should now have a Google folder on Drive called Career. And it should have some information in there that they've been working on from last year if they're sophomores, and then this year. And then freshmen should have what they've been working on these last couple of days. So by, let's say, maybe the end of the week, we should be done with all of the career activities. So they should have a complete, well, partially complete portfolio for this school year. So just some things, and you'll see on the next slide what exactly we're working on, but just some things that we do plan to do with them throughout their course in high school. They'll be working on an ONET interest profiler, which is really awesome. We'll talk about that in a second, to get some ideas of what they might be interested in. They investigate what values they hold in the career world. So a lot of kids are like, I want to make money. So they want to look into jobs that might make them some money. Some people really value that they, want to help people. So they're looking at jobs that meet that. So we're really talking about values and what's important to them. Something that the sophomores will take next year is the ASVAB, which I believe we'll talk about in a few slides, which is a great comprehensive inventory of what strengths they have and where some areas of improvement. And then, like Julie was talking about SCOIR, we start diving into that junior year as well. They have a very comprehensive interest inventory that we might dabble with. We haven't done it yet, but we're thinking maybe we can use that. And then I'll talk about in a second, through our advisory program, we have a whole career piece to that. And we have career speakers that come in very frequently, and they do presentations. So kids can sign up to go to various career speakers. And we also encourage job shadows and kind of doing interviews. So we have a lot that happens in the 4 years, all centered around careers. One more time, Heidi. Perfect. So this is an example of those values I was talking about. So what students are doing as part of the activity we're doing in class, first, we're looking at the transcript, what Amber went over. We're dissecting it, looking at what classes this sample student took, and what classes they still need to take in order to graduate. And it's been, sorry, my alarm just went off. It's been really eye-opening for the students. They're like, oh, I need to take an art class still. So they're really being conscientious of what they need in order to graduate while kind of playing with the worksheets. So that's been really awesome. The kids are really understanding what it takes to graduate. But the other piece is this values activity. So there is a list of values, and you can see them on the screen. And the students were to sort them from most important to least important. So blue is most important and yellow is least important. And, kids asked questions like, what does it mean to be innovative? What's work autonomy? So they were having great conversations with us, their counselors and their classmates and their math lab teacher. So we were all engaged in this, and they sorted the values based on their personal preference. And they took a screenshot of it, and it's in that folder I talked about. And Heidi, if you can click one more time. And here's that ONET interest profiler that the kids are also working on. So due to time constraints, we weren't able to get to this with the kids in the classroom, but a lot of them did it the following math lab. So most kids if they've already met with us, they've gotten this part. So the ONET interest profiler I really like using it. It's about 60 questions, and they range from just different kind of, would you enjoy doing this? So one of the questions is, would you enjoy installing cabinets? I know Heidi would.
Yes.
So installing cabinets. Another one is, I would enjoy working with people, or I, would want to work with animals. So it's a lot of questions to really tease out what are some things that you would like to do and some things you wouldn't like to do. And then it gives you this graph. So as you can see, that is my graph. I took the interest profiler and I got zeros in almost everything. Social, you'll see, is 34, and then conventional is 4. So these are different terminology. So realistic means like hands-on and problem solving. So clearly I'm not a hands-on person. Investigative is analytical and data-driven. I really don't love data. It's hard for me, so that makes sense. Artistic is creative and expressive. I'd like to think I'm creative, but apparently not enough. Social is collaborative and helping others. Well, I am a counselor, so I'm glad that came together. Enterprising is kind of leadership, making decisions, risk-taking. I have a hard time picking out what I want for dinner, so definitely not a maker. And then conventional is, again, there's some data-driven stuff, there's clear and concise outcomes and things like that. So it definitely makes sense why I got social and conventional, mainly social. So after you go through all 60 questions, it gives you this and a breakdown. But then you go one step further and you can see the box right next to it. It lists out a bunch of occupations that you could potentially match with due to your results. Another step that this gives is you can put in how much education you're willing to pursue. So you can do high school diploma, and it'll give you what are some jobs you can do that helps others under the social category with a high school diploma, with an associate's, with a bachelor's, with a master's, with a doctorate. So it really breaks it down by education. And I think that's probably what makes this a little bit more palpable for our students, because we know our Sanborn students, they all have different paths that they want to take. And the four-year college is not the norm. So the fact that they can kind of see what's available to them is the best part about this inventory, and in my opinion. So once they get their results, like this, they're going to screenshot this as well and add that to the folder. So if you're curious about where your kiddo's at right now, see if they've completed this. Like I said, we're not going to be fully done until the end of the week, but happy to like just ask them about it and see kind of what they have, because we're really encouraging them to use these two activities to help pick classes that they're going to be taking. So speaking of that, course selection. So freshmen, we're going to be in English classes on February 9th and February 10th. And then sophomores will be in classes February 7th and February 8th. Prior to that, so probably next week, next week, all of the advisors will be leading an activity to help prepare for class registration. It's really important because we only have the short period to work with the kiddos to put in their requests. So we want to make sure that the advisory activity, they're prepared for when we come into the classroom. Once the kids register, and we are all done with the registration process, so we will have to register juniors as well. So the month of February is dedicated pretty much to course registration. But once registration is complete, we will be sending copies home of what students chose. And just so kind of we understand, freshmen moving into sophomore year, you'll be pre-registered for an English, a math, a biology, social studies, and then you'll get to choose your electives. Teachers will be recommending course levels for students. So math, depending what math they're in, they'll be recommended for what class they'll take next, and so on. So for the electives, however, just something to keep in mind. Some of the electives are kind of predetermined. So if the student is a language student, if they want to move on in French or Spanish, that will take an elective spot. So that's just something we try to remind kids. And then for sophomores, moving into junior year, again, you'll be registered for an English, a math, a science, and we really try to get you into a social studies, that American history junior year. It can be taken senior year, but it's easier to just get it done with if you can fit it in your schedule. And then 2 electives as well. So that is kind of the bare bones of course registration. If there's more questions on that, feel free to reach out to your student's individual counselor and we can let you know. And Heidi will talk a little bit about band and chorus.
Yep. So band and chorus is, we're going to have a couple of different options to make sure kids can join band and chorus next year. So students will be able to, depending on what they choose for electives, they might be in the pure band class. So we will have a class that meets on a regular basis, just like any other class, and that will be band, and same for chorus. Some kids, based on what they choose for electives, may not be able to get into that band or chorus class because it conflicts with something that they've chosen. So we are going to be able to offer band and chorus during focused learning time next year. And different for next year, all band and chorus students will be in an advisory that's just band and chorus students. So we'll be really creating kind of that home base for kids who have band and chorus in their schedule. So really starting to build that community of band and chorus kids. Our goal is really we understand that taking, going from a 8-credit day down to a 6-credit day really limits the number of electives, and we don't want to see kids not be able to access the music program here at the school. So we're going to do our best to make sure we have lots of alternatives to get kids into band and chorus and make sure that that's in their schedule. So when students are signing up for band and chorus, they'll choose band or chorus and they'll notice that it doesn't count towards their elective counts. They'll choose because they'll watch kind of the number of credits that they sign up for increase till it gets to 6. When they click on band or chorus, it won't actually increase. It's going to be listed as 0 credit on their course registration, but it actually, they will receive credit for it. It does count towards graduation. It counts towards the art credit, and it also counts as an elective credit, and they can take it multiple times. So if you have questions, concerns about your child being able to access the music program, please reach out to either Mr. Stack or myself. We are going to do our best to make sure everybody can get into music if that's really what they are hoping to do.
All right, the PSATs and SATs. It's something we do every year with all of our students. Ninth grade does what we call like a prep PSAT. It's kind of gets them used to what an SAT is and gets a whole experience for them. Grade 10 and 11 do the PSATs. The grade 11 does the one with the NMSQT, which is the National Merit Scholarship Program. So depending on what their score is, it may qualify them to be put in for some scholarships. So the SAT, we use SATs as our state test. That's why everybody takes it. It's given, the juniors take it in the spring. They took the PSATs in the fall, this past fall. It's about 4 hours long, give or take. Some students may take shorter, but it's kind of like everybody has to sit and wait, and so everybody gets the same experience. Many colleges use it to determine the acceptance status, especially like the nursing and the physical therapy and like the science courses, because they want to be able to see what your score is and how that correlates to other students. But not every college at this moment is requiring it, but many are. You can take it multiple times. It just depends on how you feel you did and if you want to take it again. The College Board is where you will find your score. Your score is kept there. You'll create a login. We do not have your login information, so you need to remember whatever it is. And if you forget it, you need to reach out to College Board to reset it. And Khan Academy is a great resource. There are lots of activities on there to get you prepared for the SATs. You can take a practice test on there. In the Khan Academy and College Board kind of work together. You can actually link the two. Next slide, please.
So I'm just answering some questions in the
Okay.
chat.
No worries. The ACTs, it's an assessment we do. It's very similar to the SATs. It's used as like an entrance, oh my goodness, excuse me, an entrance exam used by many colleges and universities. Sorry, I'm a little mumbling right now. And again, it helps them make the decisions on who they're going to accept. And there's basically 4 sections: English, math, reading, and science reasoning. There is a essay part you can take, but you don't have to, it's optional. You register at theact.org. And again, you can check out that website, lots of resources on it to help you get prepared for that exam and what to expect when you take it. And the ASVAB, all of our juniors just took this. It is, a lot of people associate it with the military, but it's not necessarily that. It's more of an inventory that lets you explore what careers you're interested in. And we get the results and we go over them with you. We just started doing that last Tuesday. There was, you get called down to the library and they go over the results and how to interpret them. And it's there to help you kind of gear towards the careers that at that moment in time interest you. And NEEF. This is, again, a great resource. This website is full of information. It can help you with financial aid, the steps of planning to go to college, applying. I went through the site earlier today and I could have got lost in it for like a couple of hours. There's just a lot of information on there, and it's a lot of useful information to help you get ready for what to expect when applying for colleges.
All righty. So we do have a number of special programs here at Sanborn, and I'll just talk briefly about them because they all have kind of their own information night or information that comes home. So for sophomores, on February 21st, if you have a sophomore who is interested in earning some college credit while they attend high school, then the Early College Partnership with Northern Essex Community College might be the program for your child. Students take classes on the Northern Essex Community College campus, which is down in Haverhill. They do have to take an AccuPlacer assessment in order to test into it. So what they're looking for is whether or not the student is working at that college level. But then once they are accepted into the program, they are able to take all of their college classes at a significantly discounted rate. And we've been really fortunate the last couple of years to have students taking classes and not paying anything. We've received some grants, and we're pursuing additional grant money right now. I can't guarantee that that money will always be available, but I had a student last year graduate with over 30 college credits. So her mom emailed me just a couple of weeks ago, and she, as an incoming freshman, so this past fall was her freshman first semester, she was considered to be a first semester sophomore. So she had completed basically her entire freshman year through this Northern Essex program for free, pretty much, other than a couple of books that she had to purchase. So what that means is that she's currently attending a school that's about $50,000 a year. So $50,000 a year is the tuition. And then she's saving the money for living on campus as well for an additional year. So $15,000 to live on campus. We always say to students, even if they take it just for the general eds and they don't have any intention, obviously that young lady had no intention of going to Northern Essex for her school. She's across the country. Northern Essex English costs $600 for English 101, and UNH English 101 is $1,800. It's the exact same class. So $1,200 savings counts as high school credit. So we'll have that information night on February 21st. SST is the Seacoast School of Technology. That's our career and technical education center. We have a field trip going over to SST this Friday for our current sophomores to look at the programs. Many of those programs also offer college credit. They are for programs that we aren't able to offer here at Sanborn. So it's a great experience for our kids to go over there. They take classes with students from Exeter and Hampton, Raymond, Newmarket. And it's just an opportunity for that if your student is a hands-on learner, wants to do some building construction and get out there and build a house, that's the program for them. They have a careers in education, working in a classroom. They have a culinary arts program, working in a restaurant. So again, that real hands-on learning program is over at SST. Dual enrollment is more college classes. So we, in addition to our Northern Essex partnership, we have partnerships with Great Bay Community College, with New Hampshire Technical Institute, and with Southern New Hampshire University. So some of our math classes for junior year. So your sophomores will be registering for these classes. They can take that pre-calc class at the college level and earn college credit for it. They might take a chemistry class at the college level and earn credit over at Southern New Hampshire University. Students who do any of these dual enrollment programs, whether it's through SST, through Northern Essex, through any of these other dual enrollment programs, they earn both a high school transcript. So the class appears on their high school transcript, as well as a transcript through whichever college program. So when they're registering or when they're applying to college, they will have a transcript for college as well as their high school. Advanced placement classes. We currently offer advanced placement classes in biology, in calculus, in literature for junior year. So AP Lit can be an alternative for junior English. And I know I'm forgetting one, AP Gov and AP US History. So instead of taking traditional American history, if your child wants to really challenge themselves, boost their GPA, think about taking an AP class. That class is a college level class that has a test at the end of the year. The score on the test is what determines whether or not they get the college credit. But it's a great class that really shows for any college that your child is applying to that they challenge themselves to taking the most rigorous classes that we offer at Sanborn. And ELO is an extended learning opportunity. So if everything that we've talked about doesn't seem to fit your child and your child really has some really different interests that you're like, man, Sanborn really doesn't offer any classes in archaeology. You're right, we don't. But you could do an ELO or you could do an internship, and we will find a local archaeologist. And don't laugh, we found one. We had a student who did an archaeology internship with a local archaeologist, and he talked at length about the arrowheads and the nails and the rocks that he was finding, and he was very excited about it. So whatever your child's interested in, talk to us and let us know, and we can help them figure that out and find their passion and get them excited about school, because that's really what all of these programs are about, is really helping your child find the way to get the most excited about high school, and then figure out what they want to do after they leave us here at Sanborn. Turn it over to Brittany.
All right, so parent involvement. First of all, like coming to this presentation or watching it later, whenever you see it, is awesome. Like we put these out here just to engage with the community and get information out there. So being involved in these types of things is awesome. Some other ways to get involved that really helps the success of your student is checking grades. Alma, everyone has access to it. If you need your password reset or anything like that, reach out to the counselor. We can do that for you so that you can have access to your student's grade book. Checking those grades really helps the student kind of, maintain in a class. Also, it allows for you to kind of understand kind of what's going on in the class, what assignments are being given and graded, and so on. Another good tool to kind of keep up on is Google Classroom. Students have access to Google Classroom through their school accounts, and parents can be added on there to kind of get updates. But I prefer really sitting down and looking at the student's Google Classroom. So ask your kiddo to take out their Chromebook and say, hey, can you pull up your Google Classroom and show me what you're working on? And they can literally scroll through and show you exactly when what assignments there are and when they're due. Another great tool that a lot of parents don't know about is the to-do list Google Classroom creates. Your kiddo can show you that for sure. They know where it is. And it gives you a list of all the assignments that need to be completed, and they mark them as missing if it's past the due date in big red letters. So really helpful to keep a kiddo organized. Another way to get involved is make sure you're signed up for the Points of Pride, Mr. Stack's weekly newsletter. It goes out every Sunday. He puts a plethora of information on there, probably how you found this link. We also have the school's Facebook page that we post a lot of information on. Make sure you're reading emails that come from the school. I know you probably get a lot, especially with COVID, like we went virtual, so there was just a lot of email communication. Make sure you're kind of looking at that from us. You might be getting information about a login for SCOIR when you come to junior year. You might be getting information about another info night that we have. We really try to push out a lot of information through email. If you're concerned about your student and a class, reach out directly to the teacher. They've got the most information. We are always contacting teachers to find out information. They are the front line basically, so they know what's going on for that particular class. So if you have any concerns, reach out directly to the teacher. Julie went over these big things right here: the program of study, student handbook, and school profile, all found on the website. Get familiar with it. It has so much information. I like to say the program of studies is like its own published book. I feel like it's so much information.
Yes,
but it's very detailed. There's a lot in there that I'm still learning about, and I've been with Sanborn this is my 6th year. So some other cool things just to do to get involved, not Sanborn related, is, touring colleges or touring industries. Never too early to start doing that. I know there's so many awesome opportunities in this area. So like you could go on an industry tour. Miss Allie coordinates them all the time. So if you want to get your kiddo out there looking at different places, they can go tour. You can go to a local college. They're doing tours still, live tours. So just getting out there and just seeing what's available really helps kids kind of help plan. Like I said, the kids have a career folder. Ask them about it. See if they'll pull it up and show you kind of what they found or what they matched with. And then just, if you want to ask a specific question, like, what are you thinking of doing when you graduate? I know, like I said, the freshmen looked at us like we were crazy talking about life after high school, but it's coming, and having those conversations now makes it a little less scary. So we always like to say that the counseling office and the parents are partners in the success of the students. So we're here to get them across that finish line and get them to their goals. And we need your help, and just doing some of these things can definitely make that a possibility for our kids.
Thank you very much. So I'm looking at the chat, and I feel like we had a lot of questions about music, which is great because I know there's a lot of concern in the community about that. And I can't reassure you enough that it is top priority, and we are going to make it happen for your kids. So rest assured, trust in Mr. Stack that he's got a genius plan, and we will implement that plan. There doesn't seem to be any other questions, though. Any last thoughts, anything that you feel like we've missed, ladies? Okay, well, we are going to wrap up our night. As I said, you know how to reach us. Feel free to send us an email. We will gladly help you. And I love what Brittany said about partnering with you, the parents, to help you achieve the success. And for every student, that's going to look different. And we always get excited to see when they walk across that stage. We feel pretty confident that every kiddo has a plan and knows how to execute it. And it's because of the help we get from parents and the partnership we create. So reach out to us if you need help. Otherwise, we will sign off for the night. So thanks, everybody.